Hello, salam, sabona. Welcome to Africa Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Soraya Mentor. On this show, we get to chat to amazing Africans who've traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about celebrating culture and identity. On this week's episode, we are joined again once by Williams Ameh, an Afrocentric filmmaker here to share his experiences across Africa and celebrating Africa in cinema. Known for impactful documentaries and award-winning short film called Scar, his storytelling amplifies voices often unheard, especially those of women and children affected by injustice. Through his films, he explores African culture, unity, heritage, and the realities that are shaping the continent today. Driven by the belief that nobody can tell your story better than you, he continues to create stories that inspire and challenge the spirit of Africa for future generations. Let's have a look. I recently saw that you released a short documentary about your village titled The Village by Williams Ameh. And you captured what home means like to you. And I just want to hear more about that. What inspired you to create that piece and what does home mean to you?
Right? If you look at what is happening right now, the world is trying to go digital. I mean, more digital than we have it right now.
Yes.
Everything is becoming almost controlled. And for me, there's this blind chase of Eldorado, a city that does not exist,
Mm-hmm.
only a city that we only imagine in our head that if we go to the city, we would achieve everything we dream of. It's going to be heaven. But the
Yes.
truth is, where we are is heaven. The stillness, the quietness, the community, the
Mm.
friendship, the fellowship, the honesty you find in the village like that. You're not finding in the city that is full of hush, 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 all the traffic, the engine grinding, the car accident, armed robbery. It's different. The truth is there's what we call perception and perception of reality, right?
Yes.
And because our community have been sold to us in a way that we do not find appealing, right? We don't want to be in our village anymore. We want to go to those places that they have represented in a fashionable way that we now find
Mm.
appealing. Now my
Mm.
idea is this: I want to go back to the village where you are running from and show you that this is home. This is this is beautiful, and everything that you define as archaic, as obsolete, as non, relevant, and all of those things are actually beauty, but we don't have the eyes to see them. So what I do is go back to those places that you
Mm.
normally want to ignore, that you normally want to run from, and show you the beauty that exists there. Because it is only when you are able to see the beauty of it, you now start appreciating it, and you'll be then confident and comfortable in staying in this environment. So our villages are beautiful. It's maintain
Yes.
the culture, the community, the communality, of who we are. Our identity is there. Everybody care about you. You go out,
Mm.
everybody greets you. Well, everybody greets, so you're not bored, you're not depressed.
Yes.
Another. But coming to the town, there's so much isolation. There's so much. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I just want us to do things for the right reason. If you are migrating, if you're relocating, if you're going to the town, you should for the right reason, not because this is not, this is less of an ideal place to live.
Mm.
And our home is what we make it to be at the end of the day. So that is what inspired.
Our
That's
home is what we make it to be. That is beautifully said. And I'm going to keep that to heart what you said. Eldorado doesn't have to be out there, it is inside
yeah,
your home. I absolutely
yeah,
love that. Actually, you brought
yes.
up a new question in my mind because I had a bunch of questions, but now I want to know what was your
Oh,
best childhood memory that reminds you of this is who we are and this is where I come from? Do you have a favorite memory?
well, I cannot particularly point to one as my favorite childhood memory. But the truth is, growing up as a child, I've always appreciated the beauty of friends, the beauty of community, the beauty of
Yes.
fellowship. Like I said earlier, where we sit, you know, um, with my father. to hear stories. And you see, the truth is, those stories stayed with me till this moment and forever. Because
Yes.
every time when I see, that's what we call cloud memory. I don't know if this is a coincidence or it's can be scientifically proven, but the truth is, every time I sit outside alone and I get to see the moon, I remember my father. I remember the stories he told us growing up as children. Every of those stories. So it's like all those stories that he told us then when most times we sit down outside only when the moon is shining, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, when it's too dark, nobody wants to stay outside. But when the moon is shining, everywhere is bright, people are outside having conversations and all of those things. So all the stories my father shared with me, with us, growing up, every time I might forget them, but every time I find myself sitting outside, and the moon is shining, I remember my father's face, I remember my father's voice, I remember those stories. So I think those that moment, and I really would want to share this kind of moment with my own child,
Yes.
eventually, because those moments stayed with me. It makes me appreciate my father even more. So yeah, I think for me this is one of the highlights of my childhood.
That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I do know that you're a filmmaker who wants to perceive Africa as unity and you fight for that so beautifully. I want to know your first traveling experience when you left Nigeria. How did that impact the way you viewed yourself as a Nigerian and an African? What was that experience like for you?
Well, the first time I left Nigeria, it wasn't. I didn't go to a distant country. I went to Benin Republic. you
Mm-hmm.
know, I was so curious. I was so curious how it feels like leaving your own country to another man's country. Although Benin Republic is not so far, you know. And when I went, we had to stop at the border and have to but still, my legs were really literally heavy. Like, oh my goodness, I'm counting steps to leave Nigeria. I'm counting my steps. One, two, one, two, one, two. I'm finally out, you know. And getting to experience other people's culture other than the culture of Nigerians that I'm so used to was amazing. It further defines the fact that there are things that unite us than those things that divide us. Because in so many ways we are similar. We look alike. There's no distinction between who these people are and who we are. We find common food that we eat in Nigeria, common dances, and all of those things. But in a unique way, in a way that is unique to them, and there's greater appreciation for it. So my first experience living in Nigeria was actually amazing. I had good time in Benin Republic. I went to learn a lot about their culture in Vida,
Wow.
learn about the slave trade, follow the coast of Guinea, along the coast, studying, learning, as I
Wow.
move along. I got to a village where I think it's a village close to Vida.
Mm-hmm.
I've forgotten the name right now. Where it's a collection of different people from West Africa that those days where those slaves were taken from Nigeria, Togo, the Republic itself, another part of West Africa. They brought them
Yes.
there, keep them for a while before transporting them. So they were there. We are the last set of slaves. They were there when the announcement came that slave trade has been abolished. So those people now form a community because most of them cannot trace their way back home. So they form a
Yes.
community there, and they still exist and live in that community as one unit to this day. So there are
Wow.
people from different backgrounds existing together as one people in that village.
I love the way you said that you were able to see so many Northern African countries combining and staying together. Just before we continue,
Yeah.
we're going to go on a very quick break. We're going to be right back on Africa Beyond Borders. Yet again, we are celebrating the beauty of Africa with the films created by Williams Ameh. Here is Africa's Untold Beauty. Welcome back to Africa Beyond Borders. Yet again, you with me, Soraya Mentor. On this show, we get to chat to amazing Africans who traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about celebrating culture and identity. We are still with Williams Ameh and his work, now focusing on the environmental changes needed in Africa. This documentary features how we as Africans can balance development and conserve the nature and the future of Africa. Let's have a look.
My name is Abigail Ikluka, but you know me as the Realtipreneur. So today I'm at Greenhouse Resorts and Farms, and I'm having a sit-out conversation with the founder of this ecosystem. I'm hoping it will be a very, very interesting one. So sit tight as we delve into the conversations.
My name is Honorable Mary E. Adiku. I'm from Benue State, Ijoma by tribe. Okay. Do I even have to tell you that? I'm one Nigeria, isn't it? Okay.
Okay, so what happens here? What do you do here?
Well, this is the Greenhouse Farms and Resort. It's an eco-friendly resort. The background for which we started this journey is actually based on environmental sustainability issue. We have cracked our brains over the years to see how we can be able to be a harbinger of environmental issues and how we'll be able to train most especially youths into becoming ambassadors for the environment.
You look very beautiful, ma.
And you too. You too, you're very beautiful.
You look good. So what's the secret? What do you do to maintain your skin in its natural state? Like it's giving.
Staying under this environment. You know, there was a day I came out early in the morning. I don't know if you have tried that since you came in here. Like to come out very early in the morning. The air is something else. It's different. Yeah, it's different from the one that we're taking in now. There is this freshness about it that is so pure that you can slice through the purity of the air. And that is because we have thousands of trees here and plants. And I believe that the more, the less the free radicals are in the environment, the less or the more we have our health refreshed. And so starting with good food, exercise, all those things, clean air is paramount. And if you say I look good, then probably it's because it's because I'm staying under these plants that they're just taking every dirt from the environment, and all they're giving us within this greenhouse farms and resort is clean, pure, natural, beautiful, refreshing. God.
This is an interesting.
God blessings.
Yeah.
You know.
It's an interesting point of view because usually when people are thinking beauty, the first thing you're thinking is makeup. You're thinking expensive products. You know, people is looking for the next thing. People are now doing acids, and every day gets. It's just that's what I'm trying to. It's just what you need gets. I can't see. There's no word for it.
Beauty, as they said,
just simplified it to the environment,
yes,
the food and basic things.
Yes, that is what it is. If you can, I don't know how old you're, just a small girl, but
She don't want to accept that.
You're not serious.
Yeah, you're just a small girl, you know. Yeah, taking us back, you understand, to maybe the early 70s when we were born, and, you know, the early 70s, and even up to today. If you take the statistics, for instance, of the people living in the village, and those living in the town. Believe you me, go to the village and see the skin of those people. They're saying they don't have food, they don't have this, they are poor, they are that. But see their skin, you'll be wondering, what is going on here? Okay, they don't have food, why is the skin looking this beautiful? Okay, so there is something about nature that no one can explain, you understand? And the more we embrace it, the more it gives us its goodness. And that is why you see people saying, oh, eat healthy, but then coming back to your cosmetic frames, you know. Yes. That's why it is called cosmetics, is it? By the way, you understand? Yes. So if you see, it's just your making up, okay? It's not real. So anything that you make up can never be as real as what it is original. Okay, and that is why organic food is costlier than the genetically modified, you know, substances, you know. So being natural is the best, you know, because applying even some of these things that we apply on our faces, for instance, we the women, you know, men are exonerated. Most men are exonerated from that. So we the women, in trying to beautify ourselves, at the end of the day, the chemicals seep into our system, you know, and we do not know how much damage that can do to our cells, you know, our skin and stuff like that. So I'm not against those people doing it, you understand, but the best form of keeping yourself healthy or healthier is if you can avoid all these things.
Knowing we live in the FCT, where one thing that really affects nature, affects the natural habitat and environment is real estate. So you see people destroying, you know, nature to build houses, and it's not a bad thing. But how do you think people can really incorporate this, or how do you advise people to incorporate nature into the environment? Because it's not good that we just completely change the face of everything without, you know, preservation.
Yeah, I think one of the problems of population expansion is this development we're talking about. As the population expands, people tend to want to acquire more space for shelter. Okay, but in as much as that is important, it is also very important that the real estate developers are trained when they really understand the harm they are causing. They are causing by cutting down entirely the existing habitat, or you understand, this natural space. I think with that knowledge, they will be able to inculcate some part of their land, not to be selfish of saying we have to build everything on this piece of land, but to also preserve and conserve some of those natural elements that they meet on ground. And if, for instance, they do not even have the natural one, it just calls for nature is everybody. Okay, let me just digress a bit here. Do you know that when you go to a park, for instance, and you see few trees, do you know that people go under those trees for shelter? Yes. So it's just a natural thing for anyone to understand the importance of trees without even having to know what the world is talking about today, that the issue of global warming and stuff like that. And conservation is at the tip of the discussion of world leaders. But aside from that, nature beats every other thing. So for me, they should be trained, they should understand the importance of trees and conserving and preserving them. And in a situation where those are not provided on the piece of land acquired, I think it calls for just a reasonable person to imbibe the culture of planting beautiful trees and plants that will help in beautifying not just the estate, but also giving people the nice, is it undiluted, if you allow me to use the word, undiluted air, you understand? So pollution is reduced by the numbers of trees we have and plants, because all of us know that these plants take in carbon dioxide, and what they give is the oxygen. So naturally, the more you cut them, the less you have a pure and clean air. So I think that training should be given to all the estate developers, most especially in Africa.
That was the amazing work of Williams Ameh, who joined us here on Africa Beyond Borders. Feel free to watch us every Monday at 8:30 p.m. on DSTV channel 285, GoTV channel 25, and you can stream every episode on oneup2.com. If you'd like to see more episodes like this, or maybe even join, check out our socials at africabeyondborders.ntv. That's africabeyondborders.ntv. We'll see you guys next week.